de nous rejoindre.
Thank you for attending this plenary session about Marseille. We will hear Flore GUYON, which work for the municipality of Marseille. There will be Adly THOMA, the chairman and CEO of Gemini Africa from Egypt. There will be Alban CORBIER-LABASSE, the director of the Friche, Belle. Here's Alban and Adly. Please give them a round of applause. Virginie KONÉ is the Special Operations and Events Director for Trace. Please, Virginie, come forward. And there will be Sami, the founder and general director of Pretty Ages. Thanks, everyone, for being here. We're going to talk about a hot topic from Marseille, that is to say creative and cultural industries. The year 2023 has been quite busy for Marseille, which has achieved many successes. Marseille has been awarded a prize with its partners, among other achievements, and this success can be translated in figures. There are 2,200 companies on a territory, which represents 4,400 jobs. Today we will talk with local actors which build bridges between Africa and Europe, which work in creative and cultural industries, and we would like to know if Marseille shows great potential for this in this sector. In the end, we would like to strengthen the connections between Marseille and the Mediterranean in order to make Marseille the capital for the creative and cultural industries. Let's start with this. What is the potential of Marseille in the creative and cultural industries? Flore, how does the Marseille ecosystem organizes? What's the structure for creative and cultural industries? Marseille's ecosystem is buzzing, really, as regards with creative and cultural industries. There are many structuring projects emerging or being implemented, and they are changing, they are drawing new mapping of the territory, especially because they are very active in the northern part of the city, for example, in La Friche, Belle, which has been renovated. In a city center, there are other projects such as the Citadel, La Falubri, not to mention Cross the Ages, a project that's been expanding. Other projects focus on other neighborhoods with the future city of cinema that has been supported by the regional authorities. All in all, there are many projects which make a rich ecosystem. So we need to develop this activity at the city level. There are buzzing activity, but it needs structure. And as Julie said, there's a whole entrepreneurial and creative ecosystem in Marseille with over 1,200 companies. Some sectors are rising and developing faster, such as the movie industry. As you know, certainly Marseille is the second city for the highest level of movies being made. The city has received many achievements with a call for proposals of expression of interest, especially for France 2030. For the audiovisual industries, 4 projects has won a prize, 3 for training courses, and others for a studio, for studio premises. That would be a great level. There are 9 funding members. For these 9 partners, there has been a great achievement. There has been an expression for interest, and these partners have won it. And there will be another call for proposal in spring. And in the meantime, we will be trying to structure this dance ecosystem.
In the Mediterranean ecosystem, notably on the cinema, you have a Cinematech project. In the relations between Africa, Europe, and the Mediterranean are very dear to your heart. Could you please explain how is Marseille attractive to an actor like yourself, and what are the possible cooperations?
Thank you, Julie, and thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure. Since it's my second time here in Emerging Valley, I'm very happy to share with you the development that happened and to share the vision about the collaboration between Middle East, Egypt, and Europe via Marseille. Actually, we are, as you may know, that we are part of one of the biggest group of the Middle East and world, which is Orascom Group. We are taking care of the entrepreneurial scene as representative of this group. And back in 2020, we had made a detailed and comprehensive research about the relationship between the entrepreneurial ecosystem and the creative industry, in the heart of it, the cinema industry. We discovered that they have different languages and they never been able to work together. That's why we launched a new track under the name of Cinematech. Cinematech like FinTech, PropTech, EdTech, GreenTech. Now we have Cinematech to mingle between the entrepreneurial ecosystem and the startups, the film industry, by using technology. And now it is extended from only cinema to the whole creative industry scene. We are humble and proud to say that we have received the intellectual property rights for being the first ever person and entity introducing such track to the whole world. Having said that, we discovered that this area of mingling or collaboration between entrepreneurship with fresh ideas and the creative industry is a green field. And I would say it was not tackled enough. That's why we have been not only working individual as Cinematech or Gemini, but we have been working with all stakeholders and partners. I don't want to skip any, but we have worked with Institut Français, Ambassade de France en Egypt, Ambassade de Canada, USAID, GIZ, UNDP, government, companies from Monte Carlo, from Sweden, from African Development Bank, from South Sudan, and you name it, from Egyptian government, of course, so you name it. This type of tracks and umbrella, like the Cinematech and umbrella, actually, I would say it's the industry of hope and industry of collaboration. It opened doors for collaboration between East and West. It opened doors for collaboration between the two sides of Mediterranean. Whenever I'm talking about the two sides of Mediterranean, I would focus on Marseille as the gate to the other side of the Mediterranean, which is Europe and the Middle East and Africa, that should and will and have to play a big role with our African brothers. What I can say is that we have been launching a lot of activities, but one of the flashy one, we have launched the first ever Cinematech incubator in the world. It was launched last year, and we had 2 cohorts in which we have applied our strategy, which is 3 M's. We avail 3 M's to our startups, and the 3 M's are money, funds, or financial awards. Second M is mentorship, which is incubation, training, acceleration, coaching, and so on. And the third one is matchmaking. Matchmaking is we offer and avail business opportunities, networking, and since we are a genuine part of the film industry as well, through our connection, we offer the connection between our startup and our applications that help the film industry and the creative industry. But one of the main challenges is to let the creative part accept. And we have a very good relationship, and we have a very well and prominent superstars board of trustees. So we have been able to create what I call an ecosystem for Cinematech. If you allow me for 1 minute, and then we'll elaborate more in the coming question. We have to think together about a real collaboration between Middle East, Egypt, Africa, and Marseille and Europe. This is the next step. We have been working with all types and all countries, but we still need to put more effort on this regard.
Many thanks, Ali. Je retiens Marseille comme porte de la Méditerranée. Donc on a parlé du potentiel.
Marseille is a gate to the Mediterranean. You mentioned synergies and opportunities, and now over to Alban. Are there obstacles to the development of creative and cultural industries in Marseille? Good afternoon, everyone. I don't see obstacles, I only see levers. Maybe I'm being optimistic. I see spaces where there's a margin for progress with our partners from the southern Mediterranean. I think we've developed a culture based on cooperation. Everyone wants to cooperate, but not everyone puts effort into it, because when you want to cooperate, you need to foster mobility, for example. And I do think that collaboration is a great lever for our sectors to work together. Secondly, Marseille is known for its infrastructure. There are infrastructure locally, but it is difficult to move forward, to act with our partners of the south. It is quite still difficult to be welcoming, to provide soft landing spaces. This is the term we use in the business world. We don't have the capacities to host physically artists, project holders, creators. So we can't provide the right infrastructure for this to happen. And third obstacle, and I know that the municipality will soon deal with this topic in December. The city wants to work better with diasporas from the Middle East, from Africa that are present in Marseille. Marseille wants to work better with associations and project holders that make connections between this city, which is a gate, and the African continent. Various initiatives have been implemented at the national level. The Parco project, the Mid-Africa project, the various schemes that have been implemented in the cultural sector, which the AFD, for example, permanently develops cooperation solutions, but we need to connect to diasporas. Lastly, as regards with the creative and cultural industries, I would rather talk about creative and cultural sectors. I have nothing against industries, but if we follow the CCI definition made by the UN, these industries rather involve craftsmanship. And here we rather talk about the movie sector, the music sector, which are in the end creative sector, and which involve smaller sectors that are involved jobs in craftsmanship, broadcasting, etc. You mentioned diasporas. So now over to Virginie and Trace. Trace is one of the main actors in the creative and cultural sector between Africa and Europe. How did Marseille become the headquarters for Trace? And what are the specific features you want to showcase on the territory nowadays? First of all, good afternoon. Trace is a media group on a global scale. We focus on Africa because the editorial content we offer is focused on Africa. So we're based in Marseille and Paris, and we naturally turn towards Marseille. This is the only place where we have two offices. On the geographical point of view, Marseille is close to Mediterranean countries, meaning countries we work in, and Marseille offers this DNA with a lot of diversity historically, which means that nowadays there is a really large diaspora. 48% of diasporas come from sub-Saharan Africa and other regions, and they are very important for our group according to surveys. So diasporas are a key actor, a key target for us. And here in Marseille, there's a lot of diaspora, there's a lot of targets, and institutions, organizations, and human beings we've met here support this trend. For example, I am part of an African-inspired club which has supported us in our presence here in Marseille. We're a media group which works in the field of Afroculture, and you will know that Marseille is the second city of France for urban culture, with major artists that are famous abroad. So this ecosystem is a natural, sounds really natural to us. Secondly, we do have partnerships with Africa. That's the reason why we turn towards Marseille. We were, for example, with the AEFG campus present today. There is here in Marseille La Friche, La Belle and many other stakeholders that are inspired by Africa. We have started many projects. We work on diversity, music, sport, and today we are a company with a mission, and we focus on new sectors such as education and training, and we, through culture. What I mean is that nowadays with these new sectors, new educational missions that we have, we've developed a Tris Talent program which aims to make connections between coaches and young people. There's another digital project called Trace Academia, which offers a free learning platform to young people, especially African young people. So we developed this project with the AFD. So I just mentioned two programs that we've been working hard on here in Marseille. So it's about training. It's about training the young people through culture and other elements. Thank you very much, Virginie. You mentioned various levers that we mentioned before, and now we will turn towards these levers, the levers we need to for Marseille to become the capital for creative and cultural industries. And now over to our next speaker, the CEO of Cross the Ages, which has conquered a large public in record time. You have a totally new model, mixing tradition and modernity. Is that the key ingredient in order to let Marseille become a capital for CCI. Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here. 3 years ago, we launched the Across the Ages journey. We have created a new intellectual property that mixes science, sci-fi, and reality. We turn towards experts in the sector. They signed a 10-year contract to write this story in 7 years. We hit a record high in downloading. Part of the team is made up of former workers for our Harry Potter or other great successes, and together we started to develop a game. It's been #1 on App Store for 16 weeks. So this is hard to achieve for a French company, but we managed to compete with many successful game, and we made it because we've got this IP which provides us with a solid base, and it is quite characteristic of the way we've developed our game, which is a mix of chess and Go. And we wanted people to think, to go beyond what they already see. We didn't want them to play games that would make them more stupid. The aim of Across the Ages is to make you explore the universe, and all IPs, if you look around, all IPs have been successful because they had solid base, they had a solid image, they had a strong story, and a story everybody could relate to. In a few months, we raised funds with 70 investors, and we brought together great investors, several international companies, and slowly we went city from city to make people know about this IP. Thank you, Sami. This is a great local success story. And now, over to Alban. Let's talk about the sector. What are the priorities here to develop creative and cultural industries in Marseille? I don't know. However, as Flore said before, the branch pattern is very relevant here. Marseille is buzzing. There's a lot of creativity, but it is quite difficult to identify it as ICC capital. Using Marseille as a marketplace could be a solution here, and there are things going on in La Friche, La Belle de Mai. There was the Babel XP festival that took place at La Friche, Belle de Mai this year, and that become again a great platform for world music actors. Many stakeholders came from all continents to attend this festival and meet their peers during this festival. So we could create marketplaces in specific branches such as video games or movies. As for the music scene, there is the Babel Festival à La Friche Belle de Mai. There is Chronique, an event that goes beyond La Friche La Belle de Mai. It is a joint venture between two associations, one from Aix-en-Provence, another from Marseille. They work in creating digital content with, for example, Nemo, which is based in Paris. So we could open a sector with digital art, and we could still focus and try to turn Marseille into this great destination for creative art. With mentioned that Marseille could become a capital for creative and cultural industries. Flore, could you give us more details about this concept of ICC a capital? Secondly, what are your objectives? What are your expectations? Marseille and its partners want the city to become the Euro-Mediterranean capital of creative and cultural industries by 2030. But what does this mean? There's no official definition for this concept of ICC capital. But when we talk about capitals, we usually talk about huge cities that are buzzing, that bring together research, education, just like Marseille, as well as a buzzing, vibrant cultural scene. Furthermore, a capital is a specific place that can attract entrepreneurs that look for a structured and inclusive ecosystem that could respond to their needs in record time. So this is our ambition, with multiple objectives such as economic development, or maybe creating jobs for young people and for women. We also want to foster social inclusion, reduce the social divide. We would like to foster connections between artists and researchers. Alban mentioned the pluridisciplinarity, which sets our sector apart, and this would be very useful to try and develop synergies between the sectors. That's another of our objectives.
Oh, great. So multidisciplinarity for youth, for women. Let's talk a little bit more about investment now. So Adly, THOMA.
Cap now. What is required eventually to attract more investments on the ICC sector, and how do we tackle all those investors to come to Marseille and to invest for the ICC more globally on the Euro-Mediterranean region?
Okay, this is a very good question. Actually, one of the main, I wouldn't say only challenges, but the main difficulties in the ICC sectors is to explore and find investments. Having said that, if we are talking about startups in the ICC, it's becoming more and more difficult, especially in the Middle East and Africa. We have to answer this question in two dimensions. The first dimension is Middle East and Africa, and then Europe, Marseille, and Europe. So for Middle East and Africa, we need to work together more, to have more synergies, and to create a real ecosystem that believe in ICC. ICC now is based on funds that are coming from government, from international institutions, from funding entities, and so on and so forth. But when you go to an investor and ask him or her to come and take the risk on an ICC startup, it will take ages if finally agree on such step. That's why it should be more appealing. It should be more sexy. It should take more advantages from the government. It shouldn't be treated as the traditional type of business, or even the traditional startups. It has to have more advantage from government. It has to have more funds from different governments, I mean. It has to get more funds from UN agencies, from all developmental entities, to make it more appealing to the investor. This is the part of Middle East and Africa. The picture is much better if you look to the ICC from Europe and Marseille side. There is an appetite, more appetite, Still, it is not so easy, but we can see more opportunities in the other side of the Mediterranean. There are more programs, and I attended the summit last year, and President Macron launched a big program to collaborate between the France and Middle East and Africa. It was billion of dollars. So once we see such initiatives, it means there is a hope. The point is to emphasize on such initiatives and to make it happen. The key is to work together more. There is a good intentions from everyone, I would say. Very good intentions, different stakeholders from different countries, from different zones. They have the intention, they want to work together, but we cannot see yet the real fruit. We need to be more aggressive, more dedicated, and to make sure that we align on one project and we'll make it happen. And it will be maybe a pilot for more and more investment, more and more collaboration, East and West, creating the hope of more common ground and common projects.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Donc, passer des paroles aux actes et avoir des...
Okay, great. So, pilot projects that work. We've spoken about potential, we've spoken about levers, and now we're going to move on to the final part of this debate, all about strengthening the synergies which already exist. We've heard this before, so between Marseille, Europe and Africa. So we're going to start with Virginie. The Trace Group has existed for 20 years. You're celebrating your 20th anniversary this year, so happy birthday. What has driven the Trace Group over the past 20 years? What have your opportunities been? Do you think that you'll be using the same levers over the next 10 years? Thank you for wishing us happy birthday. At Trace, we believe in diversity. It is a force, it is a source of strength. Since we started in Africa and elsewhere, because we exist in hundreds of countries, we can talk about the culture that we are involved in through youth and other opportunities. These days, we are looking more at entrepreneurship and youth. What I didn't mention earlier on is that what helped us come to set up in Marseille is the fact that irrespective of the stakeholders, there is a real diversity, which is the foundation of such a strong level of impact with regards to economic and social development at Trace. And I think that this is something that we share with other people here too, especially the city of Marseille, is that we have tried ourselves to have this approach. It's true that we have Trace Academia that applies to both sides of the Mediterranean. We have activation projects such as enhancing and valuing culture on both sides of the Mediterranean. We have looked at launching new projects, new chains, and this is why we are here in Marseille. So I do agree with Alban. We need to be cooperating, and cooperating genuinely via the kind of work that we do ourselves personally. What can we really activate? We need to be working hand in hand so that projects actually see the light of day. And we didn't mention it, but we are actually partners with the city of Marseille within the context of CCIs. So we work on many different areas. And with the city of Marseille, we came up with several different objectives, such as developing digital technology. That's something which is really important for us. Then there is the audio-visual studios as well as youth and employment. For us, our mentality is that it can really be a lever to help young people to create employment and to help set up companies and do business, because at the moment the culture is not just about entertainment. It can really apply to many different things, and this is why we need to be continuing to work to find perhaps not a solution, but let me give you another example. Today, when we go somewhere, we need to refer ourselves back to something, and referring back to culture is very important. Identity is important, inclusion is important, which is the springboard to many things, and inclusion in education, which is fundamental, as well as inclusion in entrepreneurship, are really strong aspects. So culture, as we have seen during the Trace Talent program, is generally speaking the places where we feel the most comfortable to start projects, which then lead on to other projects. As a result of this, I think that we really are on the same wavelength with regard to cooperation. We work on building bridges, diversity, and therefore we need investment so that we can implement the projects. We need funding, of course. We need human resources that can actually see the project through to the end. This is something that we're seeing on our own scale, and we need innovation, of course. This is another subject entirely. Thank you very much, Virginie. So, ecosystems, working with partnerships. I would now like us to talk about success stories with Sami. It was very difficult for an ICC company to raise funds. Tell us about your own success story and how it can inspire other startups in the ecosystem between the two shores of the Mediterranean. Thank you very much. If you look at the 70 investors, only 2 of them are French. So we actually went to find our money elsewhere, overseas, and it's actually really sad to realize this, because seed funds are a great issue. There is a great amount of young talent that can do things, but they can't find the means to do so. I remember when we sent our application to VC Français, we asked them to fund us up to 30 million euros for our project. So we went to Asia, we went to the US, and we were looking more at 2 to 3 million euros, so it was a completely different situation. In the end, we did get funded by Americans and Asians. Let me just come back to something before I continue, because I completely agree with Virginie and Alban when they speak about this collaboration and synergy. Let me give you an example. One of the most important things for us in gaming is e-sport. We are organizing a huge international competition that is going to be happening in July at the Friche Belle. We're talking about 59 million people coming and watching, so huge numbers. It's an iconic event with huge influencers from the world. And we're going to have Japanese, Koreans, we're going to have many different people watching and participating. So just to finish off on the funding side of things, of course we need to hold on. It's true that during fundraising it can be very difficult. We can call them ups and downs. For many years recently, it was very difficult for any entrepreneur to find funding. we're looking to April 2024, and of course entrepreneurs need to be patient, they need to look to the future, and what has been highlighted is that international funds are much more willing to support youth, such as French talent. It is recognized as a country that has a lot of talent, and it's difficult for us to accept that in France investment opportunities can be few and far between. Thank you very much for what you've said, for your conclusion. Perhaps we can hand back to Fleur. We've spoken a lot about challenges and opportunities for Marseille, and when we look to the future, what kind of new schemes could you think of for tomorrow? Thank you for this question. Perhaps we could rephrase it though, because before thinking about new schemes, I think that we need to valorize the ones that we already have. And what exists in Marseille is that there are a lot of opportunities. It's a very rich environment. This can be in audiovisual, it can be online. I'm thinking about Medi Talent, for example. For instance, in the third neighborhood, we have about 15 associations that work in youth insertion in audio-visual. So this is just in one part of the Marseille city. So how can we, and I know I've said this before, and I'm completely convinced by this, how that we have the key to create value in Marseille. So how can we make use of the individual initiatives, put them together, and scale them up? This is the entire point of the CCI Techno Hub, which is currently being put together with different parties and partnerships, some of whom have been able to come here today. We are looking at what kind of levers exist to help these initiatives scale up and improve their coherence, visibility, and legibility. Great, thank you so much. So a round of applause for all of our panelists. Virginie, Adly, Alban, Flore, and the city of Marseille for this fantastic plenary session. Thank you very much.